In 2017, police arrived at a British apartment expecting to handle a violent altercation between two men, one fighting for his life. What they uncovered, however, was something no one could have predicted. The man they thought was a victim, severely injured and in critical condition, held a secret so staggering that it flipped the entire investigation on its head. This is the story of Reinhard Sinaga, a man born into wealth and privilege in Indonesia, who led a life few could ever imagine. But beneath the surface, hidden in plain sight, was a history that would make him one of the most infamous figures in British crime. Join us as we unravel how a seemingly ordinary student's luxurious life concealed something far more disturbing. Raised in extraordinary wealth, Sinaga was the son of a successful real estate magnate and banker in Indonesia. Born in 1983 into a conservative Christian family of the Batak tribe, Sinaga's upbringing was one of privilege. However, his childhood was not without its challenges. He was seen as a sensitive, reserved boy with a love for music and books, which made him stand out among his peers. He was often bullied, but his intelligence and dedication to academics earned him a place at the prestigious University of Indonesia, where he began to shed his earlier persona and became more sociable. After completing his undergraduate studies in architecture, Reinhard Sinaga moved abroad. Initially enrolling in a U.S. college, he eventually moved to the U.K. in 2007 to pursue further studies at the University of Manchester. There, he found a new sense of freedom and embraced his independence, immersing himself in both academic life and Manchester's vibrant social scene. By 2011, he was living in a small apartment in the heart of Manchester's gay village, supported financially by his parents. Despite his outwardly glamorous life, his relationships with his family deteriorated. Visits home were strained as his parents pressured him to return to Indonesia and join the family business. Sinaga continued his studies in Manchester, avoiding deportation and the demands of his family, while his behavior grew increasingly self-centered and narcissistic.
The monster. Reynhard Sinaga, grinning on his social media pages, is the most prolific rapist in British legal history. Police say there may be as many as 200 victims. Sinaga prowled the streets of Manchester, searching for men, before luring them back to his flat.
His life took a dark turn in 2014, when his actions would lead to a series of incidents that would eventually expose him as one of the most prolific offenders in British criminal history. Sinaga began targeting individuals in Manchester's nightlife scene, exploiting their vulnerabilities. His ability to blend into his surroundings and appear unassuming allowed him to continue his actions for a long time without raising suspicion. However, the sudden and drastic change in behavior, meticulously planning and executing a predatory crime, indicates a deeply manipulative, callous, and dangerous side to his character. His decision to violate his victims without apparent provocation or warning shows a lack of empathy and a willingness to exploit and harm others for his own gratification. The fact that he executed the crime with precision, drugging the victim, and orchestrating the events in such a premeditated manner points to a cold and calculating nature. Reinhard Sinaga can be described as a deeply complex and disturbing character who lived a life of duplicity. Outwardly, he appeared as a sociable, well-mannered, and charming student, blending seamlessly into his surroundings. The turning point came in 2017, when an incident at his apartment led to his arrest. An 18-year-old rugby player who had been out celebrating with friends was the key to Sinaga's eventual capture. During the incident, the victim managed to fight back, leading to a brutal altercation. When police arrived on the scene, they initially viewed Sinaga as the victim due to his frail appearance. However, a search of his phone revealed a trove of incriminating evidence, which completely shifted the investigation. Sinaga's youthful appearance, small stature, and friendly demeanor made him seem like a harmless student. Yet, this was the key to his deception. For years, he led a double life, carefully hiding his true nature from everyone around him, including his family and friends.
Police emergency.
Hello, I think some guy has tried to after he took me to his house, and I didn't want to. He wouldn't let me leave his house, and then I think he slipped me something. Like I don't know, and now in the morning he's like on top of me, like trying to, you know what.
The voice of the police operator in this recording is real, but for reasons that will become obvious, the voice of the man who called 999 has been changed.
Do you know his name?
No, I don't know his name at all. I just know where his house is. He's not left the house since I've escaped from it.
When this call came through to Greater Manchester Police just before 6 a.m. on Friday the 2nd of June in 2017, it marked the start of one of the biggest investigations in the force's history.
I tried to push him away. I've got blood on me because I tried to hit him to get away from me.
I'm going to get an officer to where you are now. Are you okay to wait there while we get an officer to you?
Yes, as long as it's soon.
Within 10 minutes of receiving that report, officers have gone upstairs and they find Reinhard Sinaga semi-unconscious on the floor, a lot of blood everywhere.
Detective Chief Inspector Zed Ali is head of the investigation.
Now, because of what the officers have now seen in terms of the seriousness of the injuries to Sinaga, they've gone and arrested the male who reported the initial call to the police for assault. Shortly after, an ambulance arrives to the address. They treat Sinaga and he's actually carried out the building in a stretcher and taken to Manchester Royal Infirmary. And the initial prognosis was a suspected bleed on his brain. So this was the very early stage of the investigation. So we had quite a conflicting reports into us. So we've got one where someone is saying he's been raped by an unknown male, and on the other side we've got Reinhard Sinaga with some serious head injuries.
Sinaga was in hospital with serious injuries, and his attacker, who quite literally had blood on his hands, was in custody. But the appalling truth was about to unfold.
He was in and out of consciousness. Medical staff told me that he'd been asking about the whereabouts of his phone.
Detective Inspector Matt Gregory was the first officer to visit Sinaga in hospital, and he was surprised how desperate Sinaga was to be reunited with his phone.
I went back to Montana House and found his phone under his bed where he said it would be, and he provided me with a 4-digit PIN number. Didn't work. It was incorrect.
So he'd given you the wrong PIN code to his own phone?
That's right. He knew that I was in possession of the phone at that point, and he subsequently provided me with a password which unlocked the phone. And it was at that point when I was at the bedside with Sinaga when he made several attempts to reach out for the phone and take it from my hand. It was at that point that my level of suspicion was sort of increasing. I just clicked on the Photos app on the phone, and the last 3 thumbnails that came up were of...
When the evidence was laid bare, it became clear that Sinaga had orchestrated his actions with meticulous planning and manipulation. Despite overwhelming evidence, Sinaga pleaded not guilty, forcing his victims to endure multiple trials. The court found him guilty in 2020, convicting him of 159 offenses. His actions shocked the nation and highlighted how someone could hide such dark intentions behind a seemingly normal facade. He received 88 life sentences, marking the end of his reign. Although justice was served, the impact of his crimes on the victims would last a lifetime. The story of Reinhard Sinaga serves as a chilling reminder that appearances can be deceiving. Behind his outward charm and privileged life was a reality far darker than anyone could have imagined. Sinaga's behavior indicated a deep-seated narcissism, a belief in his invincibility, and a complete disregard for the well-being of his victims. His ability to mask his predatory tendencies until they erupted into a series of horrendous crimes showcases his capacity for deception. Overall, Sinaga was a man who used charm, privilege, and cunning to hide the darkness within, a monster disguised as an ordinary student. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I really appreciate your support. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more captivating true crime stories. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.